Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V. It's very, very, very early in the morning right now. See, a couple of days ago, my husband, who cycles to work, he cycles about 22 miles a day to get to work and back, he got a puncture. I didn't even say to him, I told you to take your puncture repair kit with you. But that meant that he had to walk half of the way to work and I had to go and pick him up. And then the next morning, which is today, I had to go and drive him into work with his spare wheel so that he could fix his bike up and get it home again. He normally gets up at about 4:30 to go to work, but because I was driving him in, we could stay in bed a little bit later and lie in until about 5 in the morning, but we had to leave by 20 past, so it was a bit of a mad scramble this morning. I actually quite enjoyed it though, don't tell him, because then he will want me to take him into work all the time, but I really quite enjoyed the sun coming up while I was driving along. I enjoyed listening to some music on the radio. They had some real feel-good songs on the radio. My radio isn't very good in my car. It's very, very crackly. I only get the occasional little blast of music, but it's always nice when it's something that I then recognise. And I really, really enjoy having this little bit of space early in the morning. My 9-year-old, I can sort of hear him moving about upstairs a little bit, but he's not up yet. And so the house is all calm and quiet. And so this is an ideal time for me to get a bit of writing done or a little bit of journaling done. And that is where I'm in a bit of a 2 and 8 about it. I'm undecided this morning about whether I'm going to spend this time doing a little bit of journaling or doing a little bit of writing. I need to tell you a little bit about this project that I've got coming up. I can't give you too many details just yet. Bit annoying, I know, very annoyingly vague. But I'm involved in a writing project. We've just got started. I'm involved with 4 other authors who are Lisa Sharnbrook, Miranda Kate and Michael Wombat. I've worked with a couple of them before. I really, really enjoy the writing of everybody that is involved. And so I'm super, super excited for it. We're each doing a different part of this story, a different aspect of this story, and then meshing it together at the end. I love working collaboratively with other writers, artists, people like that. I just really, really love being able to bounce creative ideas off of people and have them bounce them off me. And together we create something that is better than it would have been if we'd each been working alone. So I am dead excited about this project and I can't wait to tell you that it's nearly finished. It is extremely early days now and none of us are pushing hard on a deadline for this. So we're just kind of meandering along and doing it. But I had a bit of an outline session yesterday and my part of the story is coming together really, really well already. And I'm so excited to actually start writing it. I love the planning stage of writing. The bit before you actually plan anything on paper is probably my favourite part because I get all the little scraps of dialogue coming up in my head, little potential characters coming along. At the moment, I've got a character who is still just called Name because he does not have a name yet. And I might steal one of your names for that character. I'm not sure yet. But I'm really, really excited to be in that stage of it. I love that creative part of the writing. The bit that I can't stand is the polishing up and editing it afterwards. I'm very, very bad at that. I've got so many half-finished projects that are just sitting there waiting to be edited because we hate it. But this bit where you're planning all the new things and you're fleshing out a character and you're deciding what they like and don't like and what the rules of your world are, that is my favourite part of writing. So I'm so, so excited to get stuck in, especially because I'll be working with other people. So during the very early stage process, they'll be able to say, well, what about this? And send me off in a different direction. And I absolutely love that. So a big part of me is very tempted to sit here this morning and just do that. But I thought today, while it is quiet, I might do a little bit of journaling. And then it occurred to me that I've talked to you guys about journaling before. I've talked to you about my methods of journaling before, but we've never really discussed what sort of things that you journal about. And if you're very, very new to keeping a journal, don't really know how to use it yet or what to write, this might be useful for you. So I did a video probably about a year ago now where I talked about my double journal method. It's where I have the one journal where I write down lots of positive, happy things and another journal that I use to get my worries out. And then like all of my yucky thoughts, the thoughts that you don't want clanging out your brain, I just write those all down and I burn them when I'm finished. And that sort of releases that energy for me and it makes me feel lots better. It makes me feel lots more able to process those thoughts. And once I've screed them all out, burned that, it's gone out of my head then. It wasn't important thoughts, it was just junk thoughts that were just cluttering. It's the equivalent of defragging your brain, I suppose. And actually nobody under 40 is going to know what defragging is, are you? Sorry about that. It is the equivalent of reorganizing my brain and getting all the files sorted out and getting rid of all the junk files that aren't needed anymore so that my brain can process more quickly. But a lot of people do struggle when they first start journaling to know what to journal about. A little while ago, I did this thing called The Artist's Way, which is a self-help course. It's mainly aimed at artists and writers who are struggling with creative blocks, but I think that it can literally help anybody. I don't think you need to be a creative type of person to be able to do The Artist's Way. Some people find it a little bit God-bothery. I did a little bit. But I do think that you can sort of substitute your own philosophy in there. So when they're saying God, you can think the universe or, my personal energy or whatever works for your personal philosophy. You can just slot it in there and it'll work all right. I'm thinking I should probably redo The Artist's Way soon because I have fallen out of a lot of the habits. But one of the habits that they had on there that was one of the most useful things, in my opinion, was the morning pages, which is where every single morning, first thing you do, as soon as you open your eyes, is write 3 pages of nonsense. And let me tell you, when I first started doing that, every single day I would write, I don't know what to write. This is pointless. This is silly. I'm just filling up space. I don't know how I'm going to fill up space. Within a couple of weeks, though, I was starting to have little breakthroughs on the page about my own worries, about what's holding me back in my life, that sort of thing. So that can be one way to sort of get to the important stuff when you're journaling, is just to write out nonsense. Write, I don't know what to write for 3 pages. Eventually you will write something and it will be helpful to you. But for some of us, we need a little bit more structure than that. And so for that reason, I tend to come down to these particular questions. So my first question would probably be along the lines of, what is the main issue on my mind today? That could be an issue that I've got with a friend. It could be a particular worry that I've got. It could be worrying about money or health or something like that. That's my main issue that's on my head. And so what is bothering me about that? I will write out the whole thing as if I am writing a text message to a friend telling them everything that has gone on and why this is so bad for me. Once I have written to the point where there is literally nothing else to write about this problem and why it was bad, at that point I will ask myself, is there anything that I can change about this situation? And I will write that question out and then write the answer as if my friend has texted me and said, is there anything that you can do to change this situation? Now, sometimes in doing that, you will find a solution that you hadn't considered before. But oftentimes you will be like, no, I just wanted to vent it out. I just feel about this. I don't think about this. I needed to get my feelings out about this rather than find a solution to this. But sometimes it will help you to find a solution for the particular worry that is on your mind. The next part of it, which I find the most challenging, and you will find the most challenging, but it's the challenging things that help us the most. The next thing that I do is say, what am I doing to contribute to this situation? And a lot of the times when something is going wrong in our lives, we want to be able to say, I'm blameless. I didn't do anything. No, I didn't cause this bad thing. I'm not contributing to this bad thing in any way. But when we drill down into it, we can find that we are subconsciously influencing ourselves in such a way that isn't helping us. And we haven't realised until we've really sat down and asked ourselves about it. So, for example, if you are somebody who, I don't know, maybe you're upset because you are the carer friend, you're always there for everybody else when they need you, you're always giving the advice, but when you need support, nobody is there for you. So you will start off your journal session by saying, this is the problem. I feel alone. I feel unsupported. I don't feel like my friends have got my back. And then you will work through that. Is there a solution that I can come up with for that? You might decide during that journal session that the best thing you can do is be vulnerable with your friends and say to them, I am feeling vulnerable. I need you to take care of me for a change. Although if you are the caregiver friend, they may well turn around to you and say, well, how do you want me to help you then? Which is very annoying. But while you're journaling the third part of it, you may realise that you gather quite a lot of your identity from being the strong one, from being the caring one, from being the mum friend, not needing anybody else. I've always done everything all by myself and I don't need anyone. That attitude might actually be blocking you from accepting help from your friends when they offer it. You might also decide during the solutions part of your journaling that maybe it's just that you and your friend express support in different ways. You might be there with words of affirmation and support, whilst they might be there by just giving you their presence or letting you talk about these things without trying to give you a solution. So maybe in the course of your journaling, you then find out that your friends are trying to be supportive and you're not actually being very receptive to that. And I do think that that is the most important thing when it comes to journaling out your problems. If you want this to actually help you and be part of your shadow work, then what you need to be doing is asking yourself the more difficult questions and not letting yourself wriggle out of giving a proper answer. We can hide ourselves from everybody that we want to. We can project a false self, we can hide our fears, we can hide our anxieties, we can present as more confident. You can't ultimately keep doing that to yourself. You have to be truthful with yourself. And that does involve asking yourself the more difficult questions sometimes. That can be really challenging, especially when you first start. And so over the first few sessions, you might decide that journaling isn't for you. I'd encourage you to push through that until you found your flow. A week or two maybe of journaling every day and you will find your flow. And then after a little while, you will hit another block. And it's that point that you've really got to push through and keep going with it, because when you hit that block, that means that you are about to hit a breakthrough that is going to change your life. Ultimately, our lives are decided, our thoughts are decided, our feelings are decided by the stories that we tell ourselves in our heads. When I'm very anxious, it's because I'm telling myself a story about something that might happen to me. When I'm very depressed, it's because I'm telling myself a story about things that did happen to me. So that narrator in your head really does make a difference to how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the rest of the world, this sort of thing. And a lot of people think that they don't control that narrator, but you really, really do. That's your narrator, that's your voice saying that. Even if it's Morgan Freeman's voice, that is your voice that is giving you all of those thoughts. And so you are able to change them. That's why people do affirmations and things like that. Even if you don't believe these things when you're first in your mirror saying, I'm the best, eventually that is going to sink into your brain. It is going to change the narration in your brain. After all, you created that narrator in the first place and you decide what they say, but you're just doing it subconsciously at the moment. Starting to journal and a regular journal practice can really help you to take control of that narrator and more consciously direct what it's saying. It's the same reason that I do my daily gratitude, actually, and I would always recommend that everybody that journals finishes each journal session with 3 things that they are grateful for that day. Because, as you probably know from me saying it in my videos before, if you daily take something that you are grateful for and point at it and say, I am grateful for that, your brain is going to start looking out for more things that you are grateful for so that you always have something to point at. Up until now, your brain is very, very primed for looking for danger, potential threats, things like that. That's an evolutionary thing, right? It's an important thing. But you can retrain your brain to also look for the good things, to also look for the things that you're grateful for, the things that make you happy, the things that you are glad are in your life. And if you write those down each day, your brain is going to spend more time looking for those things so that you've always got something to write down. And you're just going to be generally happier. So that's a quick little go of how I started with journaling and how writing helps me to process my feelings. I think I'm going to do some of that rather than get on with my story right now, so that I don't accidentally do my journaling in my story instead. I will obviously talk to you more about that story as it develops and as it goes on. I can't wait to be sharing the project with you. I'm super, super excited about it, but it might be a little while yet. Join me on Monday for my next vlog. I am not quite sure what I'm going to be talking about. It's either going to be an aspect of self-care or another witchy video next week. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that soon the weather and my family's health is going to be well enough for us to all go out on a day trip again, because it has been a while. Either way though, I will be here every single morning in your shorts, taking a great big deep breath, letting you know what I'm grateful for that day, so that I build that daily gratitude practice and train my brain to look for things that I'm grateful for. Sometimes I do tell you what's challenging me that day because, it's good to share. I'm also here on a Witchy Wednesday doing an intuitive card read for you. They are timeless readings, so you can always go through my witchy stuff playlist and check out all of the old ones and see if any of them resonate with you, because they're not tied to any particular time. I will be back on Monday, 6 a.m. UK time, but until then, you have yourself a magical week.